All right, welcome everybody to Sam Henderson and Michael Kupperman in Conversation. My name is Tim Hodler. I'm from the Comics Journal, and today we'll be talking to two of the finest humor cartoonists in America today. Sam Henderson, who you may know from right here, who you may know from his work in Magic Whistle, Humor Can Be Funny, Nickelodeon Magazine, and he wrote for SpongeBob SquarePants.
I also did stuff for Screw.
And Screw. And then Michael Kupperman is running a little bit late, but so we should probably get started without him. But he is Steak and Bacon, Tales Designed with Drizzle, and various other things. Mark Twain's autobiography. So Sam, maybe you could talk a little bit about starting Magic Whistle. Yeah, I understand that your first comic book you made when you were 10 years old?
Yeah. If you saw Bob Sikoriak's presentation, I showed some strips from that. But yeah, I've been doing mini comics since I was a kid, and then Magic Whistle just because I wanted a uniform title. And that eventually got picked up by a publisher.
What was your first comic book called? Do you remember?
Well, I did something called "If I Hadn't Written This Book" for my elementary school. Who's that? What?
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Twain.
I must say, this hotel, it's a nice place, but the men's room smells like a toilet. Someone has been using it like it's a toilet. Just disgusting. Well, it's good to be here in this kind of court of the future. You know, man is only different from the apes in that he walks upright and wears clothing and has written language and then housing, transportation, scientific infrastructure. You know,
there's a lot more differences.
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of differences. I don't know where I was going.
Mr. Twain, please.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay, let me shut down my theme song. There we go. All right, Judge, it's your show.
You were saying, Sam?
I don't remember. I don't even know where Michael Kupperman is.
You can hardly see the marks, but someone tried to hang this young man this
I think
morning.
it was you.
I think some jocks were here. They grabbed him.
It was you.
Some nerd.
Just admit it was you.
Oh, well, you know, I was wearing... I mean, whoever it was wearing a disguise. You don't know who it was.
Yeah, people were drunk because they're staying in the hotel, so they
get a little liquor and then they want to have a hanging party.
Yeah,
it's natural.
Yeah, I think you had something to do with it, but whatever.
Let me just get my cigar here going. Nothing like a big shot.
Mr. Twain.
Makes me feel important. What?
No smoking in the auditorium.
Oh, for the love of Pete. All right, well, I brought an alternative solution. Got myself a big shot lollipop. Yeah, there we go. Happy now? Candy ain't outlawed, is it?
There's some there.
Oh, yeah, there's some more candy there. Everyone, you want some candy? Yeah. Anyone? Yeah.
I was playing where that came from.
Anyone else? Anyone? Yep. Whoa. Gotta be quick. Oh, I don't know if I can throw that far.
Nelson's dying in tragic SPX accident.
Anyone with the bowl?
Candy death. The worst kind of death there is.
Man is the only animal that throws candy. Or cares to.
Yeah, I suppose that's right. You're a very wise young man. Anyway, you were talking.
I believe, what were we talking about? Magic Whistle.
Yeah, something like that.
So when did you move from doing the mini comics as a kid to when did you do the first, how old were you when you did the first Magic Whistle proper?
It was around 93, so I was 23 or 24. And I just started doing stuff for Nickelodeon around then. And I was also doing stuff for Screw at the same time.
What was that like doing work for both Screw and Nickelodeon?
Oh, everybody else was doing it. So is Michael Kupperman if he ever shows up. A lot of cartoonists did stuff for both.
So in the 90s you were in New York City?
Yeah, Nickelodeon and Screw were a cartoonist's best friend in the 90s.
Who were the other cartoonists working with Screw at that time?
at Screw,
Yeah.
Danny Hellman. Basically, any cartoonist that worked in New York before, well, thank you. Any cartoonist that worked in New York before 2000 worked for Screw at one time or another.
Kevin Hine.
He was the art director, yeah, Kevin Hine.
And did the Screw pay well?
For people that were down and out and living in Williamsburg, it did.
All right, Mr. Twain.
Where?
Hold on.
Oh, he's still here.
This is a very well organized.
I've been working on a piece called Val Kilmer, Life in Words. It's a tribute to this distinguished actor who's done so much for American cinema. Good evening. My name is Val Kilmer. I was born in December 31st, 1959. The end of one era and the beginning of another. It was the start of a decade that would be characterized by freedom, but also too much permissiveness and perhaps excess. Characterized by my role in The Doors, where I played Jim Morrison. There's a new film, actually, the Disney animated Entrances, where I play a talking door in a return to this role. Here, let me give you a few lines from that. Billy, open the knob, come through me. There's a wonderful room behind me, if you'll only open me and step through.
Break on through.
Break on through to the other side, exactly.
Mr. Twain,
What?
please.
What? I'm not allowed to do Val Kilmer?
Anyone want a banana? No, I can't. I don't want to hurt anyone doing that. But if you want to come up after
Perhaps
the show.
this isn't the venue for theater. Thank you. It's nice to have some appreciation. All right, Judge, let's get on with the sentencing.
All right, so you're continuing to be Mark Twain then?
For a bit.
All right, very good.
Why not?
All right, well then let's see what, Sam, I believe you had a video you wanted to show?
Yeah, I did something for They Might Be Giants a few years ago, so any kids probably saw the Here Come the ABCs disc, and that's on there.
Flying V. If you're standing underneath it, you will see when you inspect it that a flying V is made of flying geese. The pointed end flies in the lead, so when it flies it's hard to read. You've got to tip your head to see. Flying V, flying V. It's a V in the window of a music store or on stage at a rock show. Now a flying V is made of a guitar. The pointed end flies in the lead, so when it flies it's hard to read. You have to be upside down to see it.
For Disney.
You guys want to watch it again? All right, so what's the story behind that, Sam?
This guy, Richard O'Connor, has an animation studio, and he asked me to participate in this. I think Kim Deitch was also a part of it. Maybe Tony Millionaire, I don't know.
All right. So you did the animation yourself, or they came?
I
to you
did the
with it?
storyboards, and Richard worked from the story. He just took the drawings from the storyboards and made an animation of those drawings.
Okay. And
Your
was that?
parents must be very proud.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can tell them I did.
Have you ever worked in animation, Mr. Twain?
No, I never have. I was old before it started, so to speak. No, but it puts me in mind of a parable about our Lord. You know, I was walking on the beach with Jesus, and I look back, and Sometimes there were both of our footprints side by side, and other times, just mine, just my footprints. And I said, Jesus, what's up with this? Why weren't you there at these times? And he said, that's when I was carrying you. If you'll notice, the footprints are slightly lower with the heel weight of two people. If you measure them, you will see that I'm speaking the truth. And I said, well, this sequence here, though, it is visibly just one set of footprints, and that's when the murder happened. Take him away, boys. Case closed.
So Sam,
Yes.
you have a book coming out.
Yeah, well, I have a Seen But Not Heard collection of my Nickelodeon stuff is coming out later this year. And I have a new magic whistle. It's at the Alternative Comics table, E1, here at the convention.
And what's going to be in that book?
Seen But Not Heard, or the magic whistle.
Seen but not heard.
I said it's a collection of the stuff I did for Nickelodeon.
But can you just is that like strips for kids and that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Answer the question.
Yeah,
For God's
it's,
sake.
it's SCENE, but not heard. It's all silent strips I did for the magazine.
Now, you once said that you felt like your audience was more, not so much comic book readers, but people who are more likely to watch Colbert Report than
Yeah, I
Batman.
don't, well, I don't want people going from, like, people that, like, people say to me, my favorite comics are yours and Batman, and I can't see how the two are related except their words and pictures.
Interesting stuff. Well, I might depart now. I'm going to go down to the basement and see if Michael Kupperman's down there. Okay? It was nice to see you all.
I wonder if Michael's there.
I don't know, but there is a staircase.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going okay, I guess.
I see his ass, so he's probably here.
It's all getting captured on video.
Yeah, his ass is going to be on video on the internet.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
Michael,
you
I'm glad
made
you could
it.
join us.
So nice to be here. I hope Mark Twain wasn't too obnoxious.
So you guys came up together professionally around the same time in New York, is that right?
Yeah, we lived in the same neighborhood in the 90s. We'd bring each other home drunk and things like that.
Good story. Or excuse me, good story.
Yeah, we worked at a lot of the same places back when you had to actually go to the office to give them art.
You remember the first time you guys met?
Sometime in the 90s.
I heard a thump as my car hit. excuse me. It's so hard to stop. I heard a thump as my car hit something, and then Sam was there.
Yeah.
And you guys became friends.
Yeah, and he bit me once too.
Did you ever work? You never worked for Screw, did you, Michael?
Oh yeah, I worked for Screw a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's how I knew him, from doing stuff for Screw.
Yeah.
All right. Now you had something you wanted to show too, right, Michael?
Oh yes, I have a film that my alter ego made, and it's on AdultSwim.com right now.
Okay.
Books. Books are perhaps my favorite kind of garbage. When I see a big pile of trash, it always gladdens my heart to see a few books scattered amidst the dirty diapers and soiled cabbages. I used to travel the country on rafts made of garbage. This pursuit was glamorized in the 1985 cartoon series Twain's Garbage Raft Rambles. The year is 1997. Renegade author Mark Twain journeys the rivers and sewers of America, traveling on rafts he makes out of garbage, searching everywhere for adventure. Riding on a garbage raft is a magnificent way to see this country. Look, there's Mount Sphinxmore and Howling Mouth Falls. There's upside down Statue of Liberty Rock. And a cactus that looks like Jamie Foxx. That cave, it's intriguing. Think I'll abandon this raft and check it out. Who knows what I'll find in there? Buried treasure? Or perhaps Merlin, legendary wizard of King Arthur, is hiding within. Hello? Hello? Greetings, stranger. I am Merlin, legendary wizard of King Arthur. So I guess there's no treasure here. Such impertinence must be rewarded. Magic use I to expose both your thighs. Hee, my conjuring skill bends your belt to my will. Oh, yes. Let my magic renowned pull your pants up and down. Hey, over there! Oh, come on back. I've been in this cave alone too long.
Ah, that's me. Nice big pile of garbage.
It just goes to show famous people are disappointed. That was the stupidest cave I ever went exploring in. I heard that. You're not the only one who can build a garbage raft, you know. Now enchantment shall I use to pull your pants down to your shoes. Merlin had been corrupted and confused by his time in that cave. He'd lost his grasp of what was appropriate. By escaping on my garbage raft, I asserted the principles of human self-respect and freedom. But then he did too, and shortly after that, the cartoon ended. Good night.
Hoo-yah!
Yep.
All right.
What's that?
I said bravo.
Oh, thank you.
Are there going to be any more of those, do you think?
There's, I did a couple more films for them. Nothing as ambitious in that. That was an experiment because I wanted to see how I could make a cartoon just at my computer without using animation software, just to see what I could do. So it's sequenced images, and I put them through QuickTime Pro to animate them.
Oh, so you did the whole thing yourself?
Oh yeah, everything, all the voices. They give me the stock library music, but it's all just assembled on my computer.
That's
so
amazing.
It's an experiment.
And then you previously have worked for TV Funhouse, and
Yeah, that was, I think my first experience with animation was the program in 2000? Yeah, it was 2000, called TV Funhouse. That was Robert Smigel and Dino Stamatopoulos for Comedy Central. It was an interesting experience. A few years later, I got hired to do a cartoon again for Smigel for Saturday Night Live. And then a little after that was the pilot that was based on my first book called Snake and Bacon, which you can also find on Adult Swim if you're interested.
oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did not pick it up, even though I'm very proud of it, and it had an amazing cast, including Kristen Shaw and Peter Serafinowicz, Bill Hader, on
Yeah,
and
it's
on.
very funny. And then, so you guys both, do you, I guess this could be for both of you, is, have you found working in comics more rewarding than animation, or vice versa, or?
Well, there's no money in comics. So artistically, comics is rewarding, but lucratively, animation is more rewarding.
So are you going to do more animation, do you think? Or?
I'd like to.
Okay,
It's getting easier to do, like on your own computer.
right.
I got my own YouTube channel already. It's got some animation on it.
I mean, I think the general rule is the more kind of satisfying it is to what you want to do, the less money there is attached. You're very, very lucky if that's not true. But, you know, most of the projects where I've made a lot of money were stuff that never even saw the light of day because it didn't work out so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you guys, another commonality is when you guys started, I don't know, maybe this isn't the way it seemed to you at the time, but your comics were more, humor comics were more common and more a thing to do. And now, 13 years later, it seems like there's more of a emphasis on
Graphic
literary narratives
Yeah.
and fine art aesthetics and things like that. Is that, how does that feel for you guys?
Horrible.
Yeah, well, it used to be, there used to be more periodical comics, and there aren't anymore.
I think my theory is that right now a lot of alternative comics are being aimed really at librarians and educators, and I think that's why you have so many comics that have meaning attached to them, and that's kind of what sells now. So humor is kind of out in the cold at the moment.
I guess it kind of reflects what happens like with regular prose books. The humor section isn't
Yeah.
like in a
Humor section is usually awful in bookstores now. If you
Yeah.
look at it,
Yeah, it's Dave
zombie
Barry books
farts
and
you know.
golf jokes.
Yeah. It's depressing. And I don't think it's a great time for comedy in movies either. I think it's a great time for horror. And
Well, it's not a good time for
comedy.
movies, period.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of interesting indie horror movies being
Yeah.
made, but there are not a lot of interesting indie comedies being made.
It's true. Well, anything indie comedy is basically a Sundance film, and anything that's not heroic fantasy is considered independent now.
Well, yeah, but I think with digital releasing, that's not even that true anymore. You can do what you want. It's just that, you know, it's not something that's really encouraged.
Yeah.
So you're not a fan of Funny or Die or that kind of thing?
Not really.
There's
I mean, I wonder
sometimes-
where the pile of corpses is at Funny or Die, because from what I saw, a few people deserve to die.
So to hear Mark Twain's autobiography.
Yes. This is what got me started dressing as Twain. If you don't have a copy, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry.
What is it about Mark Twain? Why did he? You have a very large cast of characters, but it seems like Mark Twain has come to the fore as your primary guy.
I think he got established in my mind as a character early because I grew up in Connecticut, not far from Hartford, where he lived for a long period, and they kind of whore him out. I mean, he was on TV commercials and stuff, so he was already sort of a wacky character when I was growing up. There was a commercial I can remember that was him sitting in an armchair going, where's that cigar? Well, he was going, folks, I've been getting to know those Eastern Connecticut Buick dealers. Believe me, there's some right nice fellas. So it was kind of all laid out for me right there, you know. Rascally.
Did you ever see like the Hal Holbrook production?
I've seen video of it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone realized, but Val Kilmer,
Val Kilmer is playing Mark Twain. That's why I was doing Mark
yeah,
Twain.
he's been doing a one-man show.
Yeah.
pretending
He does
to
a
be.
show called Citizen Twain.
Oh, dear God.
You didn't know that? It's his thing now. He's doing Twain now.
That's why you haven't seen him in
upsetting.
it.
Wait, first he comes for Batman, now he comes for Mark Twain. That's it. When he does Henderson, I'm drawing the line.
So Mark Twain's autobiography, you are doing a new edition of that book?
I'm going to do an expanded edition and release it on iBooks, I think. Release
Okay.
it myself as an experiment and see how it does.
So is that going to be like past 2010 or hit episodes that
No,
were
I'm
forgotten?
hoping to have it out by the end of the year.
I mean,
What?
the autobiography goes to
oh.
2010. Is it going to be?
I don't know, actually. I'm not sure yet. I think it's probably going to stay within those parameters. Yeah.
Annotated.
Yeah. Annotated. Maybe there will be a follow-up in a few years. Who knows?
All right. Are you going to write a novel?
I don't know. Just occurred to me now, just that you brought it up, and
All right, Sam.
yeah, unfortunately, there aren't as many examples of my art just because of other circumstances this week beyond any of our control.
We love you, Sam.
But I've actually found, I mean, I get a really nice response from comics people, but
Yeah.
I get a really strong response from comedy people, you know.
Yeah, it seems like both of you, your audience in some ways, your natural audience, like we were talking before about the Colbert Report.
Yeah, well, I go back and forth wondering if my stuff is comics or comedy in comics form. And I think people that like read The Onion or watch comedy shows would be a better audience than people that
Who are
would be-
mourning or, you know, unhappy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it'd be a better audience than people that read superhero stuff.
So how do you get your stuff out to them?
To who?
To the regular audience who aren't comic book readers, people who aren't here.
I don't know. If somebody knows, then they should tell me, and I'll know.
Very good.
I'm on Twitter a lot. Twitter and social media are a good way to reach people these
Well, it's also a good way to try out jokes and.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you use up your material on Twitter? Does it have negative side as well as positive side, or?
Well, what do you mean by use up? I mean, we still have it. We just put it on Twitter. You know.
Yeah, and after it's up, people forget it's there, so you can use it again.
Yeah, it's true. You can recycle.
That's the end of those covers. All right. Was there anything else that you wanted me to show?
Well, I wanted to show a trailer for a movie, but probably wouldn't be right.
Okay, we won't do that then.
Yeah, well, back in the '90s when we were good friends, a lot of video stores were closing at the time, so a lot of places were selling things for $2 to $5. And one of the favorite movies of both of us was this film, Screwballs. It was this teen comedy made in the '80s, and it's supposed to be about films about people getting laid are a dime a dozen, but this one stood out for some reason.
They're really getting laid.
Well, the whole plot of the film is to get a look at somebody's breasts, and once that happens, then it's the end of the film. Like, you can go home now. Show's over.
So we won't show that trailer today,
Nah,
but it's available on YouTube, so people can
yeah,
look
you
at
can
it.
see it. It defies all logic.
So is that the kind of thing that gives a lot of inspiration to your comics? Is like 1980s screwball comedies?
Yeah, or just any kind of absurdist comedy.
All right. So I guess we don't have that much more time. So I don't know if anyone in the audience has any
Really?
questions for these guys. Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I think to go back to your comment about the fact that there are less humor comics, I will give almost any humor comic a try, but getting it right in a visual form, I think is arguably more difficult even than doing stand-up, because you have to have the wording mixed with picture, and I don't even know that it's so much that there aren't as many people trying it as there aren't as many people getting it right to build up enough audience to hit the level of being published at a Fantagraphics or Top Shelf or some kind of level. I think it's...
There's no money in it either.
But I think if it was more popular, you'd instantly find more people doing it, with more alacrity and more energy. I think that's part of it. It's a kind of empty field just because it's not that attractive.
Yes.
Do you think there's something like, I guess you guys are like your group of comics people could do to stimulate interest in it? Or do you think it's mostly the audience's responsibility at this point?
Well, he's making further, what's it, depths into the comedy world.
Inroads, yeah.
Inroads, that's the word. I'm trying to.
I mean, I'm always thinking that it would be great if comics were marketed more to the comedy audience, because it's a very large, hungry audience that
That's where it started.
and laughs are a great currency. So it seems possible, certainly. Like, it should be possible, yes.
Well, it's also great, like, comedy's longer lasting. Like, people will tell me that they'll bring up some strip from 10 to 15 years ago that I did, that they still remember.
Yes?
I was earlier suggesting to Michael that he should you guys should just do a TV show. Just put together 4 or 5 episodes. Get your friends to perform in them, get them all together at once, script the whole thing in advance. Maybe the two of you collaborate, maybe get some other cartoonists involved. There's so many platforms now to air things. You don't have to wait around for some stupid, knucklehead network to pay you to do it. You can do it at home. It's a year or so in the making.
Yeah, you're right in a way. I mean, the trouble is my currency now is time, which I don't have enough of. So it's always, the projects that I have to work on in order to keep money coming in, and, then the things that I want to do or need to do. There's always a long, long list. So it's hard to just find the time to just do something like that without any
What do they call it
backing.
when you get young people to help you work for free?
Oh, yes,
Intern.
interns.
That's all you
Yes, I've heard about those.
Yeah, well, my philosophy is let someone else do it, so,
Yeah.
You gotta get them to do it though.
yeah.
Motivate them.
Yeah?
Do you find it
No, not really, but it's hard to publicize your work because you can't say you do both to the same audience.
I didn't find it that hard. There was one funny one where it was was it Underpants on His Head Man? It's a strip that's in the Steak and Bacon book, but he's at the zoo and he's thinking, oh, any one of these animals would make a great partner, you know, as a superhero partner. And they said, put in partner for my fight against crime, because otherwise they might think partner in another sense, which I thought was being a little overprecious, but okay.
You had experience with the editors meddling at DC too, with the superhero stuff, right? I read.
No, not so much.
Oh.
What was that?
You said something about like you had a character named Murderous Pete that they changed to.
Oh, that
homeless.
was when I was writing. Yeah, I wrote a Scooby-Doo story, which is unfortunately one that gets reprinted over and over. And they wouldn't have a character called Murderous Pete. It had to be Homeless Pete.
I wrote a Bizarro story for DC. They wouldn't let me use the word dork
Oh, why not?
because it was too dirty.
Yeah,
Even though
it is a little dirty.
Even though Evan Dorkin was in the book, he was allowed to use his name. I guess if you have a dirty, yeah.
Michael, given your obsession with Mark Twain, are you familiar with Dana Gould's one-man play of Mark Twain dressed as Dr. Zaius?
People, yeah, I've seen a bit of it. People have been telling me that a lot.
It's
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
yeah. Dana Gould is a very funny man. He writes for The Simpsons and stuff. He's hilarious.
Anybody else?
Don't all raise your heads at
Just
once.
checking your watch. What time is it? How long are we
We
at?
got 15 more minutes.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I know, it seems like it's been hours.
I could tell a funny story. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, yeah, tell a funny story.
Oh, well, now on my vacations, we've been going to the house I grew up in, and we had to have some place, because I have a kid now, we had to have some place to go and just, be in nature and run around. And this place was completely overgrown, like it's woods. So I started to clear areas to, make spaces to play and hang out. And I've really gotten into doing that kind of work. So we spend our summer vacations there. And a couple of years ago we were there and there was a blackout. And we knew ahead of time there might be a blackout. It was one, I can't remember the name of the storm, but it was a big storm came through.
Sandy?
No, it was earlier than that. I can't remember. But we thought, it's the 21st century. How long will the power be out? For a day or so. And of course, it was out for at least a week, by which time we'd fled back to the city. But about 3 days in, oh, and that's the other detail. I had a fire going because I've been, taking all this wood down and all this dead trees and branches. So I finally started a small fire. I checked the fire regulations because I know how, finicky people can get about it. But I had it in a drainage field in a pit, and I was very careful. It's lined with rocks, and I was burning stuff. But sure enough, this is Connecticut. This old woman comes driving by with her husband very slowly, and she cruises by, and then she comes back again, and she does it one more time, and finally I go out. I live in New York, so I can be a little aggressive. And I'm like, yes, can I help you? She's like, we wanted to make sure someone was watching that fire. And I said, yeah, me. At which point she drove off. Without another word. So the hurricane happened, and it was fun for the first day or so. No power. It was kind of, different. And then it started to get less fun. And the third day, I'm in the yard. I'm pulling out blackberry bushes, and the fire's going behind me. And I start to hear these noises across the street. I'm really occupied in what I'm doing, and I don't pay any attention at first. But I hear like an alarm noise, like ding, 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 ding. And then it shuts off. And then there's a noise like someone's shooting a little pop gun, like poof, 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 poof. And then like construction garbage being thrown around. Someone's just picking up garbage and throwing it. And then someone drives by in a pickup and he goes, honk, 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 honk. I'm just like, man, people get bored around here. What was that? Just driving around honking. But then finally I'm like, there's something going on behind me, I bet. So I turn around, and the house across the street is totally on fire. There's a tiny part of roof that's vanishing, and I'm just like, and my wife comes out, and she goes, cover your fire, cover your fire. I'm just, I'm just envisioning myself being dragged off in handcuffs. But I quickly, cover the fire and push the wood aside. And then we go down to watch, and we go down, and the fire engines are starting to come. And it's just too late. This place is gone. It was burned down in like an but they're trying to connect hose to a pond a mile away. And I look over and I see that old woman and her husband, and they're talking to the police and like pointing to my fire. Totally tried to murder, she wrote me. But it turned out to be the generator. Huge relief. I thought I had actually succeeded in burning someone's house down. But
Yeah, I'm glad you made that clear because this is all going to be on the internet.
yeah, right.
So how old were you when you moved to Connecticut? You were raised in England for a while, and then you moved to Connecticut?
I was born in Connecticut, and
Okay.
I was there till I was 6 or 7, and then we went to England for a couple of years. Then we came back.
Okay.
So
Both of you were both kind of from semi-rural areas growing
Yeah,
up.
I guess, yeah.
Is that, you think that has anything to do with your future career, spending a lot of time by yourself, or?
Probably.
yeah, probably, yeah. That's why I'm bringing my son up in the city. So he'll have a shot at being normal.
We found out later that we had both lived in the same place at different times.
Oh, what place was that?
It's not even there anymore. It's called Sloane House.
What happened to it?
Oh, yeah, no, he's talking, the School of Visual Arts, which we
Yeah.
both went to, in the 80s, they didn't have dormitories yet. So they would house students coming to New York in the YMCA on 34th Street, Sloane House.
It was kind of a combination of Real World and Oz.
It was quite an introduction to New York.
What was it like in those years when you were at SBA and getting started professionally? What was the cartooning world?
Well, it was more people wanted to be like the next John Byrne. It was much more hero oriented, much more of a sausage party.
So you felt out of place then too. It's not,
Yeah.
when we're acting like now it's different. It's always been that way.
Well, the cartooning
For
department
you.
said my work was too stylized. I don't know what that means. And the illustration, there's an illustration major as well. That department said my stuff was too cartoony, so I didn't fit in it either.
How did you feel during those times?
I was a very confused young man. I feel like I grew up and I just didn't know anything.
Well, they shouldn't
until
put
I
people in
came to
college
school.
till about 30.
Yeah, so anyway, I was a sculpture major.
Oh, really?
It took till a few years after school that I kind of drifted into comics.
And at first you were a political cartoonist? Or you?
No, they offered me a stint, and my habit is kind of to say yes, even if I think, well, maybe I can't do this. I'll try it anyway. But in that case, I couldn't do it. I was just terrible political cartoonist. I'm not good at it.
Because both of your work, I would say, yours more than Sam's maybe is completely absurdist, where it doesn't really.
Yeah, it's kind of about the ball bouncing in a different direction than you expect. It's about deconstructing the joke, or setting you up for a joke that you think is coming, but then it's something else.
Or sometimes you do that kind of work, but sometimes you try to skewer someone. It seems like is that.
Not really skewer someone, but like just based on someone I've known in the past.
All right. Has anyone thought of any other questions?
Early on, you used a pseudonym, and where did the pseudonym come from, and when did it go away?
Oh, it was just something I thought up, P. Reves. It was kind of, it suggested various words to me, and I thought it was very mysterious. And someone at New York Press, where I was working at the time, said, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be using a pseudonym, or you should be using your real name. And I unfortunately listened to that advice, and frankly, I've always regretted it. I kind of wish I still had a pseudonym. I don't like my name, to be honest. It sounds like a horse clopping through mud, Michael Kupperman. It's not euphonic. It's kind of
I wasn't as ashamed as
clumsy.
him of
Yeah.
my work.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Except when I worked for Screw, I'd use this name Seaman S. Hardon, which is an anagram of my name.
Anybody else?
This is the book of Nickelodeon stuff that's coming out soon.
It's very big.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's going to be exactly like this with the color guides on it and impossible to.
And when is that
pull
coming
back
out?
up. I've been told in the next couple months. It's been on the back burner for about 3 years. It's been going on to different places, and supposedly Top Shelf and Alternative will be putting it out in a couple months. And it just went to the printer. They just got the galleys back.
It seems, so Nickelodeon the magazine went under a few years ago, like
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. Is it something it seems like now with the collapse of print, that must be
that's
kind of
kinda
a
what killed it.
continual struggle for cartoonists,
Yeah,
especially your type of cartoonist, to find new venues. Is that?
Yeah, well, we're both too old to have gone on the internet, debuted on the internet, so that's kind of hard to.
My feeling is a lot of the
Assimilate to.
magazines, like well, like Mad and the New Yorker, they really are just looking for work that kind of mimics the work of the past.
Yeah, and this paper, the New York Press, was the Free Weekly of New York, and it's not even around anymore. That was where a lot of cartoonists got their first work.
Yeah, because you do illustrations for the New Yorker,
Yeah.
but you don't do. I don't know if you still do, but you have for a long time.
Yeah, I haven't done any this year. I may be finally out of the loop, but I did illustrations for them for 19 years.
But you never did any cartoons.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was, to spill a story, it was kind of a weird thing where my art director for illustration, he wanted to be an editor. So he was submitting comics. You know, I think Francois had kind of stepped back a bit from submitting comics. So he was trying it. It was kind of this weird nightmare scenario where he'd call up at 6 p.m. and be like, there's a slot. If you can get me something finished by tomorrow at 9, we have a chance, you know. And I think I did it about 40 times, and I think I got maybe 6 in, you know, which was okay, but it was diminishing returns.
And so you weren't in the loop that everyone is kind of, people follow this as kind of semi-famous, infamous, the Bob Mankoff lunches where...
Right, no, it's a different department. The New Yorker's a kind of arrangement of fiefdoms.
Yeah, I've
So
been to
I-
the
yeah.
cartooning
Oh, you-
I'm the youngest guy there at 43.
And what, do you like that experience?
Well, I've just gone to show my work. I'm just feeling it out right now.
Oh, okay, so this is just very recent.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sam, Top Shelf has Seen But Not Heard listed for November release, because when I was
Yeah.
doing my spotlights, that came up, so.
Yeah, it's in the Diamond catalogs, and yeah, this isn't in stores. It's supposed to have been out 2 weeks ago, but it's available here in E1. I'll be doing a signing.
So Michael, you took 5 years off from comics, I think, at one
Did
point.
I?
Yeah, from 2000 to 2005? Is that
No,
right?
I was working all that time. I did comics in The Believer.
Okay.
That was a big one.
Oh, right.
I did a lot of comics for magazines. For a while, I was really trying to make it work with magazines and doing comics. There was The New Yorker, there was Fortune. I did a lot of work for Fortune over those years, and some other magazines. Yeah.
And you're also, both of you are some of the last guys standing doing periodical comic book pamphlets.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I still am. I think
Oh,
I
really?
might have reached the end for now. But yeah.
And why, and I mean, I guess the answer maybe is obvious, but why are you
Well-
not going to do it anymore?
There's no money.
It's tougher. It gets tougher all the time. I mean, again, I was doing comics for those years up till 2005 when I started doing Thrizzle. So a lot of the pages in Thrizzle, you know, up to even recent issues were from those magazines. I'd done those from those magazines, but it's that's not happening anymore. So
Right.
you know, there's not that. It's not being enabled as much.
So are you going to, are future Thrizzle books, are you going to do more Thrizzle books that are just like full books, or just, that's over a period?
I have some other projects I'm gonna try, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you? Any,
I went for several years without doing Magic Whistle, and I tried doing stuff as books just because comics are coming out as books. Just didn't seem like the right format.
and I read once you said that you planned on doing Magic Whistle until you were dead,
I guess so.
like in your 60s and stuff.
Yeah, it's the only thing I know how to do. So.
Very good. Anybody else?
Keep up the great work, guys.
Oh, thanks.
All right, I think we're hit the time, so.
Okay.
You
okay.
guys want to talk anything?
I'll be at the Fantagraphics table from 3:30 till just before 5, if anyone's around.
Now I'll be at the alternative table, selling original art.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to Mark Twain, please.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll tell him. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.